I'm Nightmaaron, and welcome back to The Letter. Now, I've tried to record this like 3 times now, and it's being a pain in the butt for some reason. I've never had any trouble recording this. So in the last episode, it cut off at the a section of the video where I just had no audio, and I don't know what happened there. And I went back to try and look at the save file, and I hadn't saved a secondary time, so I couldn't go back and replay that section, which I'm very sorry about. I hope you guys can forgive me for that. But we're going to go back and read the journal, and I will kind of catch you guys up on what you missed. You only missed a small section. It wasn't very much. Let's see here. No. Okay, this is basically what you guys missed. To confirm their suspicions, Isabella helped Ashton break into the Briar Realty Corporation's Luxbourne office that night. There, the files they found revealed the real deal with a mansion cell that was unknown even to Isabella, and possibly something more terrible. While gathering what they found, Ashton accidentally brought up Isabella's father, who had apparently passed away the day before. Suddenly, her reasons for trying to fix this mess became clear to him. In his attempt to comfort her, he ended up almost admitting something he's not yet ready to put to words. So that's basically what you guys missed in that, was that Ashton brought up something with her father, and she broke down and said, Papa died. And yeah, so that's why she's all upset right now, and more to the strong will to finish this and fix what she's done that she thinks is all her fault. So we're going to jump back into it here right now. Getting the files back to BRC's archive room is a cinch. With the documents back in their proper places, I locked the door behind me, tugging it twice just to make sure. Now, on to the next order of business. Removing the evidence of our little excursion in here, or at the very least, the parts showing where we've been during the past hour. Can't have our faces plastered on security footage, showing us breaking the law as it were. I'm gonna have to wipe the data for Isabella's access card entries too. Surprisingly, finding their security room proves a breeze. What will be tricky is getting inside. The fact that no one has walked out during the whole time we've been here means the room is either empty or their security is sound asleep. I'm banking more on the former. If they're cutting corners and firing agents, I have no doubt that they've fired the guy stationed here, if they have anyone watching the monitors in the first place. It's a rather common thing for establishments, just have security recording indefinitely and only check the footage if something actually happens. Just to check, I press my ears against the door, listening for a sign of anyone occupying the room. After a long minute and nothing, I give the knob a few rattles.
Standard lock and key. Should be easy enough to pick.
If you say so, sir. We have lockpick sets, but those are only to be used if necessary and with a search warrant. Even then, it's a skill set rarely needed. Subtlety isn't on a cop's priority if they have the authority to search the premises. Bolt cutters and brute force are the favored methods. If those fail, we call a locksmith. Me? I prefer the good old hairpin trick when those options aren't available. Besides, they're easy to hide and store for emergencies. Running my hand through my hair, I pull a pair of bobby pins. 2 of these and I can just about open any standard lock. One makes a lever and the other makes a handle. I won't call it a complex skill, but it certainly takes time and a lot of practice to successfully pick a lock. Good thing I've practiced with them for a bit in my college years. I've learned more when they're accessible and standard issue for law enforcement officer. A wiggle here, a click there, and I managed to seize all the pins in the locking mechanism soon enough. With a slight turn of the knob, the security room's ripe for the picking. Ooh, look at that. Spooky. The room's odor hits me first, a sharp, nauseating stench as if someone has accidentally spilled a gallon of bleach in the room. When was the last time they opened this place?
Ugh, this place smells awful. Jesus, it's worse than the forensics lab on a bad day.
This is probably because of the badly botched effort to clean the place up. Even in the dark, I can spy dark stains on the walls. I don't even want to know. I really don't have the time to try and play this is ketchup or is this soda right now, but I have the strange gut feeling who the mess might belong to. As expected, no security personnel mans the office. CCTV controls and the standalone DVR setup is open for anyone. Normally, I'd have a heap of things to say about this sloppy security setup, but right now, their negligence makes the whole task of erasing evidence easier.
No fuss, no muss.
That's right. Let's wipe this sheet. The next one should be the access card data. Hopefully getting into their computer won't be too much of a hassle. Everything up to now has been smooth sailing. There have been hiccups, I'll give it that, though it does not dampen the good mood I'm in. Once I shift my attention to the machine sitting next to the DVR setup, all of it swiftly evaporates. I'm no computer buff, but I can definitely recognize one more than a decade old. Simply looking at it makes me feel younger. With a heavy sigh, I power it up and mentally prepare myself for a slow slug. Slow apparently remains an understatement here. It takes a whole 3 minutes for the thing to start up. The OS hasn't even started loading, and in my boredom, I started inspecting the live feed from the cams. Only 2 works, one for the view outside and everything seems to be in order there, and the other for the main workspace where it's a fleeting glimpse, a curiosity glance, but the sight of it stops me. Uh-oh. The image is a bit blurry, but standing there right in the middle of the room by one of the cubicles, I can make out the form of a...
What the hell is...
Oh. I don't get too far into that line of thought. No few seconds after my words have slipped out, without any sort of warning, while I'm still trying to make sense of what it is, the figure moves. A moment of paralysis hits me when she stops right in front of the camera. Like a damn rookie, I go still in the face of danger. I definitely haven't been trained to handle the supernatural, and this is one, isn't it? And, oh fuck. Her eyes bore into me, the malice in them, the piercing. Even beyond the screen, it's enough to make me go numb. Only the mug crashing to the floor when my hand accidentally takes a swipe at it snaps me out of the trance, reminding me that I'm not the only one here. Isabella. It seems she hasn't noticed anything. Am I the only one seeing this? In any case, whatever's happening, I have to get her out. Gathering my wits, I quickly reach for my phone. It takes all but 2 seconds before she answers, but there's no time for relief.
Ashton? Did you really have to call? We're practically on the same floor.
Get out of there.
What? What are you...
Out. Get out. I'll meet you in the elevator.
You're creeping me out, Ash.
Just get yourself out of that place, now!
Without second thought, I back away from the controls from the room, ready to be done with this place. But before my foot even moves, she disappears.
Son of a...
Oh, Jesus. That got me. Instinct instantly takes over and my hand quickly reaches for the gun at my side, only to meet empty air. A mistake that cost me a few precious seconds while the paperwork I brought with me threatens to scatter everywhere at the same time. Gathering everything in myself once more, with no weapon to protect myself, my sense of self-preservation kicks in next, and I lunge towards the door. I sprint across the office without daring to look back. Isabella's already waiting in front of the elevators by the time I make it out of their office. Worry creases her eyebrows upon glancing at me, but I do not have time to answer the question in her eyes. As soon as I reach her, I grab her arm, practically throw the 2 of us into the open elevator, and I slam the button for the ground door. A sigh of relief escapes me when the elevator starts its descent. The clicking noise fades off in the distance. Beside me, Isabella shifts, moving a stack of papers under her arm while she takes in my appearance. Concerns in her eyes, though all I offer her is a small gesture of my hand while I attempt to compose myself. Breathe. In, out.
Why are we in such a hurry?
We need to get out of this place. Did you get everything?
Yeah, it's all here. But really, you don't look too good. What's wrong, Ash?
I seen the Grudge Lady. She jumped out of the screen at me, like the Grudge Lady. Or no, like the Ring Lady. Yeah.
I'll be fine. I was in the security room. From the monitors, there was a fucking...
The rest of what I'm about to say dies on my tongue when the elevator stops and the doors open too. There's a moment's pause while we both take in our surroundings. Confusion's understandably there.
Oh, come on! They should just replace this whole thing.
No, I'm quite sure I pressed for the ground floor.
Right? But it's just, as Isabella said, the elevators always did have a problem when I visited in the past. Often she becomes so angry whenever we try to get to her floor, and she'll have to repeatedly smash the button for the elevator to even move. That was always good for a laugh. I wasn't too worried then. Now, from the distance, beyond the light's reach, the noise echoes in my ears along with the rapid pounding in my chest. Isabella stiffens and her eyes grow wide at the sound. Gingerly, she reaches up to grab the hem of my sleeve and grips it, hard, tight, and enough for her fingernails to dig through. Her eyes search wildly for the source of the sound, while I stand protectively in front of her.
Ash, did you hear that?
Anyone there?
Yeah, it's the ring lady.
I can hear you moving from here. Show yourself.
Do you really want her to show herself? No response. No response, only the soft sound of something scurrying around the floor and the walls in slow, deliberate movements. Faint through though still audible enough in this hush. Until it stops. A moment.
We need to go, Ash. We have to.
And then, this time I'm certain it isn't my imagination. Against my training, my whole body freezes. Hands still mid-pressed on the button, eyes growing wide while waiting for any sort of movement from the further back, and ears strained for the source of the sound. I can't even offer Isabella any reassurances. Much as I hate to admit it, dread has seeped into every nerve of my body. And the blasted elevator still won't work.
This isn't in my fucking training manual.
Ash, we need to leave. I know that sound. Ash, please, get the elevator!
Another series of shuffling against the ground, a laughter, and all of a sudden she's just there. Oh, I can see her back there. Ooh, she's crawling. Like a twisted spider, she stares at us. A look of hunger in her eyes and venom in a twisted manner she smiles. A glee she has well earned when we're damn flies that have been dropped right onto the spider's web.
Ashton!
Damn it!
Without warning, she moves, mocking me with each unhurled crawl she takes, knowing I'm at her mercy.
Fucking hell!
Ashton, the door! The door!
Our lives are in the hands of a crummy elevator, literally hanging between life and death. We're not going to die here. Not in a damn elevator. Oh. 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 Oh, shite. Alright, let's try that again, shall we? 85417 17863 41936 197. Gotta get it. Ooh. As if divine power has heard me swearing up a storm in my head, the door is closed just as the thing looms near. Soon the elevator, the blasted thing, is headed up. Isabella's knees buckle in relief. In 2 ticks, she's hugging herself without any care of the mess of papers and folders she has dropped in the floor or on the floor in her panic. She draws in one ragged breath after another, each one brimming with nothing but relief. And this is the most I've been tired my whole damn life. Not during training, when my superior first asked me to drop 100, not after a stakeout, but after smashing a fucking elevator button repeatedly. I slump to the ground beside her, worn out, but I don't let myself feel relief again. Not until we're out of here. Isabella seems to be the same mind as she looks at me. Still, I find myself sharing a shaky laugh with her.
We're okay. we're fine. Right?
I think so.
Yeah, we're good. Alive. Fuck, we should have taken the goddamn stairs.
Twice I've seen it. Thrice if I include the party. Unless I'm tripping balls without realizing it, there's no doubt in my mind that this is actually happening. I don't want to believe it, but with the truth staring at me in the face, it'll be stupidity to deny the reality of the matter. As soon as the lift hits ground floor, we hightail out of the building. Seb's sound asleep when we pass by his station. However, in the face of what we've seen, everything I've faced tonight, we really can't care less who will still see us on our way out. The sooner we get away from this place, the farther the better. I'm just not sure if that also means being safe. She almost got it, damn it. The fucking thing almost had us. Shit, it was only by luck that we managed to get the fucking elevator unstuck. Had the blasted thing not worked in the last second, I need some air, fresh, breathable air that doesn't stink like death and gore all at once. I'm panicking. Christ, losing focus. With another person here, I can't afford that right now. Isabella hasn't said anything, but I know she's more shaken than I am. I can't lose it when another person's depending on me.
Remember your training, Frey.
Another deep breath, and soon I'm starting the engines and driving us off. After that little incident, somewhere open would be good. Someplace I won't get trapped. Luxbourne Park brings a welcome relief, though only by some. The chill that has seeped into my bones is still there, furling and unfurling underneath my skin. If I don't move, if I don't busy myself with anything soon, my brain will go haywire. It's the last thing I want to happen when there are plenty of things to do. But this already answers all of it, doesn't it? Those deaths? Just how many copies of that letter are out there? Isabella can't have the only one if other people are also getting cursed. Could it be that the one she has shown us is just one of 5, maybe even more? That would pass this to 5 people. Business is ridiculous. But at this point, is it still? All in all, we found 21 people who might have read the letter, 7 of them deceased, 8 if we count Cooper. And that's only with what we can find right now. We have no idea how the contractors and specialists hired from the outside of the company are doing, if we are in any way affected. How many more people are suffering? How many are missing? How many are dead? Can I still even blame the Wrights for this? If anything, they might be in danger as well. I don't think I can wish a curse upon anyone, no matter how big of a douchebag Luke Wright is. There's also that woman. How do we get out of this mess? How do we get away from her? Shit, still so many things we need to look into, yet all my body wants to do is pace, burn out whatever excess energy there is in me.
Ashton, I'm getting dizzy. Will you sit down?
It's the first time Isabella has said anything. She's been sitting quietly since we dropped here. Better and less distracting than watching her nervous habits, I suppose. She certainly seems calm now. Too calm, in fact, for someone who has just seen something terrible. But it's been more than a week for her already. People do get desensitized to things at some point, even someone like Isabella. Who knows what's going on inside her head, though? Inside mine? There are too many, and none of them would sit still.
I'm not going crazy, am I? I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that. I didn't inhale anything weird. Just shit. Shit. Isabella, please tell me that wasn't...
What I'm not expecting when I turn to her is mirth. One that she could barely contain.
You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
I'm not quite sure what she sees in my face, but in the next second, a laugh suddenly burst out from her. Another missing audio cue. There's been a lot of those. I'm so sorry. It's just that you should have seen the look on your face back there. Yes, right, sure. I'm not the one who panicked. You almost ripped my arm off. Yeah, but... Isabella, this isn't funny. The woman almost got us. We could have ended up dead.
I know. I'm really sorry. But this is just too precious to miss. You really lost your shit for a moment there.
You're trying to get back at me, aren't you?
Well, I'm not the one who kept calling someone scaredy cat for years. How does it feel?
I'm not scared.
Liar.
Really? Because it doesn't seem that way to me. At all.
I'm not, all right? I just don't know what to do right now.
Immediately after, the moment passes, replaced by another tense silence. Laughter dies on her lips as everything sinks in. We're in deep shit, and it has finally caught up and hit us like a ton of bricks. Hit me more than anyone. Because she has been warning us of this since day one, and I'm the first person who brushed it off. Despite that, she still reaches out to me, tugging at my sleeve almost desperately. Her hands are trembling, and there's a tremor in her voice when she speaks. Without the cheer, only fear remains. One that she has been burdened with from the beginning.
We're still going to do something about it, right?
We're gonna try.
Not just stand around and let that thing get us.
Unexpectedly, she leans her forehead against my arm, and her grip on my sleeve tightens. There's desperation in there, a quiet plea.
I don't want to lose anyone anymore, Ash.
I wish I could give her that promise, but with so many unknowns, so many things I don't understand about this, how could I? Why she still trusts that I can do something about this baffles me. It all feels wholly undeserved considering the way I've treated her. Yet despite my reluctance, I find myself returning her hold in kind. A grasp, warm and light enough for comfort. Not a promise, but the closest thing to it. Oh, that's creepy. Darkness blurs the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo from the distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes of her laughter. A scream threatens to burst, but my throat closes off. Even so slowly, a chill seeps into every nerve of my body, washing away every sensation in me apart from one. There is only fear. Once again, her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It is the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. Morning breaks in a blurry mess of vivid shapes and colors. Holy shit, this place is a mess. This is Isabella's apartment, isn't it? Yeah. Oddly, there's no feeling of terror or confusion gripping me, despite the vague images that have driven me from sleep. Awareness kicks in shortly, though slow and sluggish, as I blink away the last remnants of unconsciousness from my eyes. The early morning light already streams from the open windows when the memory sets in and the room has finally come into focus. Isabella's apartment. Pushing myself upright, my eyes wander idly towards her prone form. She's hunched over the coffee table, both her arms under her head while she still continues to rest. Then, to chaos of papers and folders we've left scattered over it before sleep has claimed us both. We've bunkered down here last night. After both our nerves have calmed down, mine for the most part, staying together was an unspoken invitation. And anyway, I'm pretty sure neither of us wants to remain alone when there's that woman. Is she still the one in the first place? One that we'd normally call a human? Can it still feel guilt? Does it understand pain?
Fuck, I'd rather get charged for breaking and entering than mess with whatever that thing was any day.
Not that thinking about this still matters when all of our lives are in her hands. She's dangerous. If we don't do anything about her and this curse, we'll definitely be pushing daisies soon, and I can't let that happen. I've dallied on this long enough, led all my friends in harm's way after the warnings they've all given me. Besides, beneath the terror and adrenaline that keeps me running, knowing what lies ahead for Isabella makes it hard not to take action. The paper still sitting on the edge of the table calls my attention. At this, light against my hand when I reach for it. It has caught my eye the night before, but with the lot we still need to go through, I've simply ignored it. The logo embolized at the top of the page, however, provides this paper a whole new meaning. Not for me, but definitely for her.
A scholarship grant, huh?
I've only ever heard her talk about this once or twice, completing her degree, that is. She rarely goes on about it in great detail, preferring to keep it to herself. Perhaps it's the fact that she thinks she's already too old to be chasing after it. It has been 5 years after all, but I've caught enough snippets of conversation between her and Zach to know she has never given up on it. Despite how things have panned out with her father, she's one step closer to this part of her life. And as silly as it may sound, coming from a friend, I'd like to give her the chance to have this. Whether this means stepping out of my comfort zone and figuring out what to do with this curse, I'll do so. If only to see the same smile on her face that time again. These days, the only moments she seems to show it is when she's asleep, like right now, no matter how uncomfortable she appears. A smile of my own forms. Despite this, when I glance at her sleeping form again, she hasn't moved since, her shoulders rising and falling in a slow, even rhythm with her breathing. You won't think she has any problems this way.
If only that were true.
Sighing, I place the paper back where I've gotten it, carefully, so I won't accidentally wrinkle or damage it in some way, and finally push myself off my makeshift bed. Isabella shifts when I carry her off from the floor and over to her bed, but doesn't wake. Simply tucks herself comfortably under the covers I pull over her. Briefly, though, she mumbles something to herself and draws in another deep breath.
Becca, Ashton's being dumb again.
She drifts back into a deeper state of sleep after, like it hasn't been interrupted by the slightest movements earlier, but the small smile on her lips remain. One I find myself returning in kind.
Who sleeps like a rock now?
It's better this way, better to leave her to her dreams for the moment, which I hope are better than the ones I've had. She'll have time to worry about our problems later when she wakes up. For now, this will be another thing I don't want to take away from her, a moment of respite no matter how fleeting. She deserves it, after everything she's been put through, what I've put her through. In the meantime, I still have 2 other people I need to check with. Isabella will definitely get in a tizzy if I don't check on them. Cold Luxborn air meets me upon stepping out of the hallway. Not unusual in itself, this is what Luxborn's weather is supposed to be. A bit cold, damp for the most part, and more often than not terribly drab with an occasional sprinkling of rain every few hours. The sky is still clear, but give it a day or two before the weather takes a turn for the worst. I've complained about the awful rain for years, despite having lived here my entire life. I have to admit, though, seeing it return to the usual feels extremely reassuring. At least something still normal in the world, when I can no longer think the same for the situation we're in. A nightmare, that's probably all this is. Usually I'll say I've been through worse, but that's simply another lie I've often told myself, isn't it? And I've fed myself a great deal of lies through the years, just so I won't have to think about it the next day. Maybe we won't even have this problem if I have been running away and ignoring things, hiding them someplace no one will see. Because I've since believed doing so is a show of weakness.
Fuck do I know about ghosts, though?
What does Zach? What does Rebecca? Z-Man has shown me photographs, mentioned weird things happening around him the past few days. Bottom line, he likely knows as much about this as I do. Why else would he approach me? The guy who knows stuff, according to him. In the end, all I've done is give him the brush off, some reliable guy I am. Hell, Rebecca's probably in the same boat, grasping for anything that might provide an answer, a way out of this. What can any of us do when all of us lacks any understanding of what's happening? One thing's clear about this, however, that thing is after us because of the letter. Both Rebecca and Zach have seen it too. She will go after them as well. Yet here I am, walking up to Rebecca's door, one slow step at a time, stalling tactic to allow myself some time to put the mess in my head in a better order. How to phrase this when there's a 90% chance she's still pissed about the whole different matter. It's the only reason we didn't check on her last night, aside from the ungodly hour Isabella and I arrived. We'll only alarm her by showing up in her home in the middle of the night, acting like babbling lunatics, and her anger can last quite a while. These days, it seems the only thing she can easily forgive is Isabella. Or the only one she can easily forgive is Isabella. But even with her, Becca's fuming still takes hours. I run my hand through my hair and straighten out my jacket before knocking. Once, twice, 3 times just to be sure she has heard me, even if she's asleep. She's usually awake by now, though.
Hey, Becca, it's Ash. Open up. Don't tell me you're still in bed.
Seconds tick by. No answer for her, and dread has started to creep up. I've been trained to handle dire situations, but the feeling has been doing that quite frequently since last night. My mind begins to anticipate the worst, and in the next minute, concern is mixed in with my thoughts, and I bang my fist on the door, louder this time. She'll definitely be livid, but I'd rather face her wrath than a dead body.
Becca, it's Ash. There's something we need to talk about right away. Open up. I know you're...
Your girlfriend left early this morning, pretty boy. So if you could do us a bloody favor and shut up, that'd be real fucking polite.
My aunt pauses short of landing another heavy knock. From the other unit, Rebecca's other neighbor peeks in through his door, though I see nothing but a bundle of blankets. I'll say they need help from being devoured by the sheets, but it sounds like he's just fine. He's a huge asshole too. Course of action, so people like him won't ruin your day. Act like the nicest person on the planet. Has done me wonders when I was a rookie patrolling the streets. No need to match his temper.
Oh, did she say where she was going?
I don't know. She said something about meeting someone or something, in case Filipina girl over there asks. Well, what am I, her keeper? You know some people want to sleep in on a bloody Sunday, so keep it down. Just looking forward to this weekend. Thanks, you damn git.
Well, there's no need to be an ass about it. I'll get out of your...
He slams his door shut without warning, but not before muttering a string of very colorful words about me. Probably thinks I won't hear him inside the four walls of his apartment.
Jerk.
And at the end of it, a sigh. So Rebecca's not here. I must have missed her by an hour or so, but at least she's not alone and she should be safe in theory. More so if the person she's meeting with is who I'm thinking. Nevertheless, I still can't help but worry. It's an easy thing continuing down increasingly darker lines of thought. To act brashly, to find out where she is and go straight there without deliberating on my actions first. There's Zach to boot. Rebecca's not alone, but I can't say the same for the big guy. A simple phone call to the both of them should do the trick. It'll ease my nerves at any rate. It's better than rushing over to Zach's place or assuming Rebecca's whereabouts and finding out they're not where I've guessed they should be. Assuming the worst will come next, which I'd rather avoid this early. Any other reason I won't bother them, but an emergency begs for urgency. Emergency for urgency. This is one, right? Even if it isn't, anxiety from concern dulls judgment, something I most certainly can't afford to lose at any given time, especially right now. Any means to claim it will do wonders for the muddled mess my mind is already in. Pulling up my phone, I thumb through the screen until it ends up on a group with only Zach, Rebecca's, and Isabella's numbers listed. Other people will probably say I keep too few friends. Other people will probably say I keep too few friends when they chance on this. To some extent, it's true. I can easily name about 100 people I've been acquainted with through the years. Colleagues, blockmates from uni, neighbors, those sorts of people. They all come and go. But these three have chosen to stay for some reason, without wanting or asking for anything. Unlike the others, none has Zach's kindness, Rebecca's patience, nor the sincerity in Isabella's eyes. One day, these guys are just there, and the next thing I know, being with them eases it. That heavy, somber feeling lingering in the air when you stand alone in your apartment, or something as simple as spending your day off without anyone. I'll say it's loneliness, but this carries much more depth than that. If I can help it, I don't want to lose any of them to some stupid curse. A phone call may be the least comforting thing at the moment. Honestly, I'd prefer being in the same room with them right now, but I'll take whatever I can get. Becca first. She'll get angry at me for worrying about her. She isn't some helpless damsel in distress after all. She isn't the shy little girl I knew when we were children. We're already far from that. Far from the people we were back then. But that's more than enough reason to check on her. I don't have to imagine taking her head on. She'll do it instead of asking for help when she needs it. I don't care if she gets mad at me, if only to know that she's fine. A ring. In the silence of the hallway, its sound alone might be sharp enough to pierce through my ears. Another second passes. 2, 3, but when on the 9th ring it goes straight to her voicemail, a cold feeling instantly lodges in my stomach.
Rebecca Gales here. You've reached my voicemail. Sorry if I can't get to you right now. Oh, and if this is Isabella, yes, you're free to reheat the food in my fridge. Otherwise, leave a message.
Probably just busy, that's all. Though I still barely manage to keep my voice even when I speak.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Becca will be alright. Is alright. She's safe. She's with someone else. In the event that woman shows up, she will still have someone with her. Someone she'll be able to ask for help. She's safe. She can handle herself. Becca might have a fiery temper, but she knows when she's faced with something she can't handle herself. Rebecca will see my missed call and she'll call me back. Though I don't express it enough, Rebecca is someone I consider important to me. She's been my friend the longest. Anyone else would have been fed up with me and left. The girl stuck by me, no matter how big of a jerk I've been. There's Zach and Isabella now too, of course. I'll always be thankful for having them around. The worst times before, however, Becca was there. No one believes it when I say it, but I've surely had my awful moments as a bratty kid and as a horrible teen. Issues. I've too many of them to count and refuse to deal with them for a time. At least, that's what Andrew likes to tell me. I tend to think nothing of it. It has mellowed down over the years, thanks to the professor mostly. But at times, I do wonder if it still burdens me the way it did all those years ago, after I was terrible, especially around the time of my parents' separation. Looking back at it now, I had no reason to direct all my frustrations towards everyone else. While I wasn't a kid who lashed out at anyone, preferring to keep it to myself and turning those negative feelings into more productive things. I've grown distant from a lot of people because of it. From my old friends back in my old school and the neighbors I've hung out with before moving. A habit I've likely brought with me into adulthood. I was just so angry with everyone and everything. All I kept thinking about was myself, wondering why me. In retrospect, I was a selfish little bastard who thought the world revolved around me. That I shouldn't have been going through it. I believed my behavior was entitled, that I had the right. Tough times, but she stuck with me. Snapped out of my little sulk, as she often phrases it, whenever she sees a chance to bring it up. She didn't tolerate my bullshit, but she didn't leave me alone either. If anything, the whole thing made her stick around. Her concern may have grown a bit overbearing as the years went by, but she's still an old friend nevertheless. I owe her a lot. That won't change.
Damn it. Where are you, Becca?
Another message left on her voicemail, and then onto my third call, I hang up. For the time being, I can't do anything more than wait for her to return my calls. Worrying aimlessly won't get me anywhere. Zach, on the other hand, that guy attracts trouble no matter how much he tries to avoid it. Doesn't help how he hasn't been too hot with a lot of people lately. His mentions of plans yesterday doesn't sit too well with me either. He might be the next responsible adult after Rebecca out of the four of us, but I've still got to check on the big guy. Make sure he's doing okay, at the very least, whatever he has planned on doing. All I'm asking is for it not to be idiotic. He's a sensible guy, I'm sure. However, desperation clings and pushes people to do things, rational or irrational, it doesn't matter. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment you're in danger, and I sincerely hope he has not found himself in a tricky situation. His phone doesn't even ring before he answers it, or his voicemail at least.
Hey, it's Zach. Well, a voicemail anyway. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, just leave a message, yeah? And no, Ash, you're not allowed to lockpick your way into my apartment again. Just do what any other decent human being does and call if I'm not around. Thanks.
Did he turn it off? Why? I don't want to assume the worst yet. Maybe he has forgotten to charge it. Can't be. The guy has a bit of a Boy Scout, even more than I am as a cop. He's the type who has an extra battery or power bank in his bag if he ever needs it. And he always does. He won't say anything or brag about it, but he's got quite the roster of VIP freelance clients. He won't just leave his phone dead in case he's on the field, particularly when people will likely be looking for him. He always leaves his connection open whenever clients or his friends need him. Zach is reliable like that.
Why isn't anyone answering?
His mobile is out of range area sounds more plausible, although the thought of it doesn't completely shake off the unease. Unlike Rebecca and I, he took the time to listen to what Isabella said. And even if he didn't believe it, he was definitely the first one to offer help or try to do something. If he ends up troubled doing whatever it is, so help me, I'm going to... Well, I can't be rash. I'm aware of that. Been running the same reminder in my head since last night. But if something happens, I'm certain my reaction won't be pretty. The added guilt from those times I've repeatedly dismissed him will surely haunt me.
Yo, Zach, call me back, all right? I wanted to check in and, yeah, just please call me back.
It's usually a joke between us when I say he's the Watson to my Sherlock. I don't see him as some assistant to put aside until he's needed, like some people like to believe, though. He's not some pity friend I keep around to make myself look good.
If anything, he's the one who stayed by me out of pity.
Zach's the one who puts up with me most of the time, even when he doesn't need to. It's not a case of the cool cop who helped out a minority. In truth, I was a hard-headed, hot-tempered, and reckless rookie until I met him. It wasn't anything sudden, and some part of me is still that rookie, but I've grown. Thanks to him, he tempers that part of me. Considering how our first impressions went, I'm lucky he's stuck around. Becca and I may have spent a lot of years together as children, but Zach, he's probably the closest thing I'll call to a best friend, though it's more than that, a camaraderie no words can express. He has my back and I'll always have his. He's a brother I've never had with the luck of ever having, only child and all.
And I have every reason to worry about my brother.
Becca's neighbor did say she went out to meet with someone, no specific names. If I'm wrong and she's not with Professor Clark, then maybe she's with Zach. They've never been close, but it's the kind of awkward friendship where meeting together remains out of the question. Regardless, I continued dialing for his phone number 3 times like I've done with Becca's. In the end, after the 3rd attempt with no one answering, I stop and move to cut the call with a ragged Excel.
Waiting game it is then.
I've been trained for those. Hell, I'm used to them, just not when it comes to people I'm close to. Much as I like to keep reminding myself to maintain a level head, it's a whole different matter when it's someone you know. Personal feelings will likely get involved at some point. It's starting now, actually, with the ancient strings coiling and uncoiling, causing a racket inside my stomach. And that's exactly when the line finally connects. Before he even speaks, my question has already slipped out, including every pent-up worry and tension in my body.
Where are you?
The line's choppy, though I can still make out his words. He's saying nothing to worry about then. He's just someplace where network coverage is shitty. Can't imagine we're at this time of morning, though. Did he go out for a jog?
What was that, Ash? Could you repeat that? Signal shitty here.
I asked, where are you? Hell, Zach, I've been calling your number for a good 20 minutes now. What kind of shithole did you get into?
I meant that to sound as friendly as possible, to keep things light at least. Instead, only the frustration shows in my tone.
Good morning to you, too. I should be asking you that question. I've been looking all over the mansion for you. I thought you'd be...
What mansion?
Do I really need to answer that?
Why are you even...
Please don't tell me that's his plan. A morning visit to the mansion where Luke Wright is. Of all the pig-headed things to do right now, it's the best thing he can come up with? Breaking and entering? I've got plenty of reasons to rail at him right now, although no matter how much I want to give him a piece of my mind, unfortunately, it's not the time.
No, wait. Just get your ass to Isabella's place and hurry.
He pauses a moment, a second of indecision while he seems to contemplate his options.
How urgent is this?
In truth, the question, the hesitance, and indecision in his voice has caught me completely off guard, and understanding dawns on me. His decision to go there isn't born out of a stupid impulse. He must have found something. However, no matter how urgent it is, he shouldn't have gone there, alone at that. Despite myself, in a split second of comprehension, I allowed to show. A weakness, a simple request brimming with every unease and disquiet, causing turmoil within me since last night. It bears a selfish hope that he'll understand, even though an unstable signal that whatever's keeping him there, he'll be willing to set it aside for now.
Pressing enough for you to stop asking questions and get yourself here. Please, Zach.
Silence fills the other end of the line again. For a long moment, I assume he won't heed it and I'll have to drive there myself, just to drag him away from whatever danger he's skirting. Thankfully, he agrees.
I'll be there in a few. An hour or 2 tops.
Thanks. I'll see you.
Relief washes over me as soon as the call ends. Normally, I don't let myself a moment of respite in times like this. Gotta stay alert. Rebecca's still out there, has yet to return any of my messages. But for the moment, I relish in it. This is probably the first time I've permitted myself to do since last night. Even the muscles in my shoulders have been complaining from all the tension I've taken on. It still annoys me that I can do right now is grit my teeth and trudge back to Isabella's apartment. Useless. That's what I am in the face of this. A mad dash around Luxborn and Anselm isn't going to help things. It's not like I'll simply stumble across them on the side of the road during a drive. The city's too big of a place for one person to go searching for only 2 people. I'll be lucky if I even glimpse the hair of either of them. With one last hopeful glance towards the open skies, I slip back into Isabella's apartment and close the door behind me. I might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part. More so when it's the people you care about.
You're up early. I thought you left.
Let's see. We're going to save there. Okay, we're going to cut this episode here. Again, sorry about the other episode getting cut off. I really apologize about that. I don't know what caused the OBS to do that, but yeah. So I hope you like how the series is going so far. Make sure you check out my t-shirt shop. There's new t-shirts there. This is one of them. Yeah, check out my Facebook and all that fun stuff too. So be nice to one another, and we'll meet in the next video. See you guys.